start in three, two, one. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 233, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We are back for another episode of this lovely show of ours. How are you doing, Kip?
I am great. I'm not. The weather's been kind of cool, temperature wise,
Yeah.
and I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, because you're a Las Vegas kid, so
Yeah.
you don't like this weather.
I feel like I'm one of the few people that isn't like, yay, it's fall. I'm like, boo.
Yeah, no, I was loving it today. I've been loving it this last week because we've had the windows open in the house, and it's been awesome and nice and cool. And today was even a little brisk. We had our running thing with the kids in the elementary school that I talked about last week, and it was nice and cool. So you didn't have to. You weren't. I wasn't dripping in sweat when we got done because there was a nice breeze going and the temperature wasn't ridiculously high, so it was a good day to run.
Yeah, I can buy that. We had our windows open. We had the attic fan on.
Oh
It
yeah.
actually got cold last night.
Yep.
And then this afternoon, we got home from work, walked in the house like, nope, shut all the windows. It was cold in here. It was
Nope.
only like it was like 67, which isn't cold, but it is to me. So all the windows got shut and the attic fan got turned off, and now we're just enjoying a nice mild temperature.
No, all our windows are still open. I think our windows actually got cracked a little bit today because there was that chance of rain here, but now like all the windows are wide open. We don't have the attic fan on because we don't really need it. But yeah, if we had the attic fan on, it'd be nice and chill. It'd be super chilly in here. But it's starting to get cold enough now. The kids are wearing like pants to go to bed, so they're wearing their
Dang.
pants jammies. So yeah, it's that time of year, man. It's my favorite time of year. I love cooler weather. I love the fall. I like the spring too. I just like the intermediate temperatures.
The
Um,
only reason I like fall at all is because of football and Halloween.
yeah.
Temperature means nothing to me other than it should just stay warm all the time.
No, I don't know. Yeah, no, but see, you're also the person that likes the like 100-degree heat. No. When it starts getting up over 70, I start getting cranky.
No, man, if it could stay like 85, 90 year round, whew,
No
be
way.
perfect.
That's too hot. That's too hot. Can't can't play soccer in that weather. Drop that temperature
Oh yeah, you can. I'm
down.
old and fat and I can do it. So
Yeah, true, true. No arguments there. All right, so announcements for this week. Oh, well, I guess I should tell everybody, we could talk about this. This happened this last week. Was I got in a car wreck, and I want to say it might have been because I think last week we recorded on Wednesday, didn't we? It happened on Tuesday
yeah,
last week, so it happened the day before we recorded. Uh, Not major damage or anything. Got sideswiped. Basically, took my driver's side mirror off and messed up the front quarter panel on the driver's side of my car. So, not too bad, but it's in the shop now. Supposed to get it back the end of this week, and I got a rental car, which is cool. My car is a 2007 Mazda 6, and they gave me a newer model. I'm going to say it's somewhere in the 2015 or newer Nissan Maxima, and It's really nice. It doesn't have a key, so it's got the push button start and the little key fob, so I can just walk up to the door and push a button on the door handle to unlock it, which is kind of cool. I feel like James Bond ish riding in the car. It's got this giant screen and a whole bunch of gadgets and buttons and really kind of cool. But yeah, I also feel like I'm sitting in a tank. Like the the height of everything, it's still like a car, so you still are sitting low to the ground, not much lower than what I do in my Mazda 6, but like the windows are higher, the dash is higher, like everything is higher, but I'm almost touching the top of the car, like roof wise on the interior. So if I raise the seat up more, I'm just feels weird. So I don't know. I'm not liking it. It's a car and it works. It does its purpose, but it's not one that I would buy. But it works as a good
That's the
test drive.
beauty about car renting cars.
Yeah.
I rent a lot of vehicles for work, and it's eliminated quite a few off of a list of possible replacements for my car.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about being able to like actually drive it around for a couple of days and trying it out type thing. I don't know if dealerships let you take, you know, I know they'll let you do test drives, but usually it's with like the sales guy either sitting in the passenger seat or sitting in the back seat, and you don't really get to like take it home and drive it multiple days. I don't know. Do they do
Yeah.
that? I don't
There
know.
was one car company that did that where you could take it for 24 hours, but I don't think that lasted very long.
Yeah, that seems really dangerous. Somebody just take it and disappear. But I mean, I guess if they leave you their other car, it's yeah, that just sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, apparently it was because I don't see those I haven't seen those commercials in a very long time.
Right? Right? Yeah. So, um, all right, yeah, well, we got that going for us. Other things, news from this last week. It's not really last week, just normal stuff. Go check out the podcast arcade. Go check out um, all of our shows on there. Thepodcastarcade.com. Pimp those guys some more. Go show them some love. Support those guys there. And if you came from one of those other shows and found us and enjoy us, thanks for being here. We enjoy having you guys. Right?
This
Yeah.
is true, and if you've, taken a picture of Bigfoot, you could send that to the paranormal dads and Eddie will give you a big kiss on the mouth.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I don't really know that that's a good selling point. I don't think you should lead with that.
Oh, well, my bad. He won't do that then.
Uh, well, or better yet, maybe Eddie would stop making videos on Facebook of him dancing. That would might actually get more pictures of Bigfoot.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's get into what we got here for us today. I'm gonna start us off with something. So this is gonna be a really more educational show episode
Boo!
because Kip over there is actually like learning to do something, you know, good
Out
and
there.
like, useful. I don't do anything useful. So
I don't know how
I'm
useful this is, but we'll find out.
well, it may be, if the Japanese take over the world, I don't know, it's always possible. Maybe Japan becomes the big, you know, global powerhouse. I don't know. Anyway, before we get to that, I want to bring up this show on Netflix. It's a Netflix original show, and if you like cooking competitions that they would have on Food Network, this one's on Netflix and it's a Netflix original. So, it's got that going for it. It's called Nailed It. And
And it's great.
have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, this show is hilarious. My kids found this thing before I did, and they've watched all the episodes, and so a few weeks back they actually convinced my wife into doing a Netflix or a Nailed It challenge. And so they picked out like a cake, and then they made her make it, and it actually ended up turning out pretty well considering she had limited. Um, we don't have a full kitchen and supplies like they do on that show. Um, and but the cake turned out well, but now it's turned into the kids have like turn it on like whenever we're trying to find something to watch as a family. This has become our family show that we're watching now. And we just watched a couple of episodes tonight, and one of them was the tailgating episode where they were like the first challenge is making like this guacamole football field with
Oh
like
yeah, I remember
and
that.
and Amber and I look at each other and go, I'm pretty sure you've done that before and like actually done it better than what any of those three people did. Like,
Oh man, it was what I like about the show is exemplified in that challenge. It looks easy, but if I tried it, it would be a total disaster, just like it is for these people.
oh, absolutely. And I think that's the part that's makes it so entertaining is the fact that these are just normal people that they put in there. These are not competitive cooks. These are not, you know, pastry chefs by any means. Some of them have more ability than others, but it's almost like they take three people that are very similar in their ability to cook and they put them into a competition together, and so they're all equally bad. Um, and it is hilarious. The host, which I should have, if I was smart, I would have looked up her name, but she is incredible. Her comedic timing is
Well, what's funny is when I watched the first season, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to watch this season because of her, Nicole Byer.
yes,
But thankfully, she grew on me, and it's like, you know what? I actually love her now.
yeah, yeah, and her interaction with Jacques Torres, the professional pastry chef that they have in there, like it, it's just hilarious, and it's I don't know. The show is incredible, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, especially if you like, just cooking competitions of Joe Schmo and not guys like Bobby Flay or,
Yeah, if you
he's
want to
the only.
watch a show where people struggle like you would, perfect show.
Yeah.
Perfect show for you because there's one episode where the cakes they have to make, it looks like it would be so easy to do.
Yeah.
And when all three of them got done, you're like, holy cow, this was, they didn't even come close.
Right?
I'm glad I didn't have to try this.
And I'm sure some of it's the amount of time, like it's all timed. They don't get an unlimited amount of time to do it,
No.
so they're under the gun, but sometimes you look at them and you go, are you really that like do you really have no idea what you're doing? And then you have some people that they're given a recipe, so it's not like they're not given anything. They're given an order of what they're supposed to do it in and a recipe for some of the more complicated things that they're supposed to make. I don't think they
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, they were reading out the recipe for pigs in a blanket.
True. What I got out of it, I guess I could use one day, is I didn't realize how much they use Rice Krispie treats.
Yes, yes. I
So if you
mean,
have a complex structure you're trying to make,
use Rice Krispie
looks
treats.
like Rice Krispie treats are your Legos of the baking world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also and that's the other thing is they really give in some little like tidbits that if you know how to bake a little bit and you watch that show, they'll tell you some things that's like, "Oh, so like, when you're making a sugar cookie, don't over mix your dough because it makes the cookie more crumble more." Like, I did not know that. I'm not sure that I ever like am ever gonna make a sugar cookie because I don't really like cooking, but it was interesting to learn. Or the difference between, what was it, icing, buttercream, and frosting. Like there it
Yeah,
you
because
know
there's a
there's
difference.
yeah, you know there's a difference to them, but like there's a specific difference, and they're used for different things. And so it's like, I just thought it was like, you use buttercream because it's, you want a butter flavor or something. Like, no, it's they work differently for different applications. Oh.
Yeah, and after watching the show, I realized that making buttercream is looks like it's pretty simple, and I just kind of want to put it on everything.
Yes. It's Yeah, and that's really funny when they're making a cake there, and my two kids, 9 and 6, are sitting watching this show going, they're not using enough buttercream. They need more buttercream. I'm like, why do you know this? Because that's always the answer. Whenever in doubt, add more buttercream.
Right? Yeah, your boys know. They should be on the show. If they do a kids version, your boys should be on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be funny. They're still convinced that my wife needs to be on this show, and so they are adamant about finding a way to get her on this show. Um,
Is it because she doesn't bake very well, or is it because she does bake very
it's
well?
because she does bake really well, and they're pretty sure she could win 10 grand really easily.
Oh, and then they think she'll spend it on them.
I guess. I mean, little do they know that if
It's
she wins 10 grand, it is not going onto them.
well, I got to give them credit for at least planning that far ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we could get her on the show. She wins the competition, and then she'll spend the money on us. So yeah, let's do that.
I think it's more they just want to see their mom on TV and kick the crap out of everybody else in a baking
Yeah.
competition. I mean, but uh, yeah, some of the stuff, some of the cakes that they made. So, like, did you've seen the Donald Trump cake
Yes.
episode? Like the one cake that lady made, it haunts my nightmares, and even Conley, my 6 year old, like looks at that and goes, every time it shows up in like a little clip at the beginning of the episode, he just starts screaming and covering his face.
I tell you, that could be a Halloween decoration.
Oh man, I think that's gonna be my costume this year for Halloween. I'm just gonna. Oh, that would be a really good one. I can wear a black suit, blue tie, and then just like paint my eyes like that. I already have the sunken in face. Yeah, yeah,
So, are
but
you still on season one?
um, well, so the kids have watched all of them. We've kind of gone back and forth between, because Amber and I will kind of pop in and watch one when they're watching them. So tonight we haven't actually watched them in any order. Amber and I haven't. The kids have, but we've just kind of popped in and watched them here and there. So tonight we watched a couple episodes from season 2, but the other night we watched some from season 1. It just kind of depends on. We kind of tell the kids, like, pick out one that they thought was really fun or really kind of cool. So tonight we watched the tailgating one and the Christmas one that like
Okay.
comes right after it. So that one was, um, with the gingerbread house. That was actually kind of cool and interesting to have them explain. I didn't realize that royal icing that is what they use to for the glue for those gingerbread houses, because it hardens. And
Yeah,
when the
I didn't even know there was such a thing as royal icing until that episode.
yeah, so that's, some of the stuff that you learn is just kind of like, oh, that's why those guys. Or we watched one earlier tonight. The kids were watching one while Amber was fixing dinner that was like a unicorn cake, and so they Jacques Torres actually walked the host and then the guest judge on how to make the unicorn horn out of fondant. Like, and that was really kind of interesting. I'll never do it, but I thought it was kind of cool how he did it. So, and it made it look
Yeah,
really easy.
he made it look easy, but it had to take a hell of a
No,
lot of practice to be able to
yeah,
do that.
no, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. So,
Now, I baking, you give me a cake mix and all the ingredients I need for it, I can bake you a cake. If I have to turn it into Donald Trump, not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the tailgating one where they made it into a grill. And like they're like,
Oh
"Oh
yeah.
yeah, you just stack all this stuff together and then you just carve it to what you want." Like I can't like sculpt with clay. How the hell am I going to sculpt with cake?
Oh yeah. And they have it where you like put it in the freezer or something so it gets cool so it cuts
Yeah.
properly. And I don't know about you, but we've tried a couple of times where we've done like multiple layer cakes and then like cut, like how the round cakes will have the dome.
Yeah.
So you cut that off so
Yeah,
it's flat.
right?
That thing just crumbles to pieces on us. So I can't imagine
Well,
trying
and
to stack all those up and then make a nice rounded grill shape. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
that's not gonna
Well,
happen.
and my problem is, yeah, okay, so you take it and you cut off the top so that it's flat. Do you know what happens when I cut like a loaf of bread? Like you get the French bread and you're just trying to cut like perfect straight lines in it to get your piece. No, that ends up always like I always end up with one piece that's like crooked where it's like thicker on the bottom than it is the top.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I can't cut in a straight line to save my
And
life.
they're all smashed down because you push too much force on it to try to cut it.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I ended
American made right there, baby.
So I have learned though with bread when I'm cutting it, I'll use like a steak fork to hold it in place so that I don't smash the bread.
Oh,
Just
see, there you go.
so I got smart with that part.
Yeah, baking tips from Morph. Look out.
Yeah, we turned this
Jeez.
into a cooking show for you.
This is getting
Um,
educational. We're going to have to stop.
now no one's gonna listen anymore.
They tried to make us learn something. Make them
Oh,
stop.
oh man. So yeah, that's what we've kind of run into now, and there's another one. Have you seen the show Sugar Rush?
I have not seen Sugar Rush.
So that's another one that's there. I don't like it as much because it's actual professional like bakers.
Yeah,
So
okay, yeah.
it's teams of two, and they're both professional bakers or some sort of like really high caliber and quality. So they judge them a little bit harsher, but they also have to create something from scratch. They're given a like a theme that they have to follow, and then they got to come up with it right then and there. So it's a little more
Ah, okay.
challenging type thing, but I have more fun watching the people fail, like try and fail, than I do like watching somebody like come up with something from scratch that I can't like I look at it and go I don't even know what is in that, let alone what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, the comedy value of Nailed It is great.
Yes.
But if you want to watch a baking show where they're actually baking stuff, doing it really well, but they're still amateurs,
Yeah.
the British Baking Show.
Oh really?
Again, British TV coming from me, imagine that. But they will come up with a theme or um, all these different stuff that you and I would probably call it a different name, but since it's, you know, on the other side of the pond, they use a different name.
Right.
Like, it's not cake, it's sponge. To us, sponge cake is a whole different animal, but to
Yeah.
them,
That's an
cake
April
is
Fool's joke.
sponge. Yeah. So, and they say, okay, and these people get to practice their stuff at home, and then they come and try to pull off the recipe for the judges. Of
Oh,
course, under
okay.
time restraints and the bright lights and all that. So there are some failures. It's not as funny, obviously, but it's cool to watch. And there's this one host. His name is Paul Hollywood. Um, he is one. You just have to watch him. He's just one of those guys that there is no doubt in his mind that he's not great, but he's not an ass about it. It's interesting. But they'll even take like a recipe they're famous for, one of the judges, and make them make it.
Oh.
And it'll only have like the list of ingredients, but not how much, not how to mix it, not how long to bake it, and they got to figure it out on the fly.
Oh man.
Yeah, so they have the one challenges where they get to practice and perfect it, and then they have another challenge where it's like, good luck.
That's funny. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna have to check this one out.
yeah.
It looks like
So
it's on PBS too. So
yeah,
interesting.
it could be. It's on Netflix for sure.
Cool.
That's how I watched it.
I'm gonna have to see if I can't find that one and try that one out.
Yeah, I never thought we'd talk baking shows on here, but there you have it.
Yeah, I I don't watch a lot of them, just because there's got to be some. I don't like cooking, so there's got to be something else to it for me. Um, Watching somebody cook is great, but I really kind of want to taste it. And so if I'm just gonna like, I don't really usually learn anything from them because I have no interest in learning what it is that they're doing. But watching Nailed It,
Well,
I find the comic relief and the innuendos that she throws out there are quite funny. So
yeah, and it just looks like everybody is having the time of their lives.
yeah, yeah.
Even when they're failing miserably, they still look like they're having a lot of fun. So
Oh,
it is fun to watch for that.
and they get it and they're done and they're like, you know what? This was the best that I could do. And even the judges usually have something complimentary about what they did, even if it looks terrible and fails. I mean, there one of the episodes we watched today, two of the three people didn't even get their cakes to bake all the way through, so when they got them out of the
Oh,
pans, they were still like soupy. And
yeah,
at
they're
one
like lava. Yeah.
yeah, one of them at one point they're like, cut us your perfect piece or ladle it into a bowl. Like, yep, that
Yeah,
was you.
it's a great show. And the name is perfect because they have them when they unveil their creation, they have to say nailed it,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are like nailed it.
Yes. Oh, it's great. It's great. So there you go. There's my recommendation for this week.
And it's a good one.
Go check it out. That's funny. I didn't realize that you'd seen that too.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next educational topic for us today. And that is, oh, and I screwed up. But last week I told you I was going to have this music clip to play. I do not have it because I didn't think about it until right now. Dang it.
I
But
wasn't going to remind you either, so
so Kip is trying to turn Japanese or learn Japanese using a
yeah, I
cool
don't
little
think I'm
program.
really going to turn Japanese unless I'm Godzilla.
Yeah, turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so.
Yeah, that.
So tell us about this program you're using. What is this thing?
Okay, so little backstory. We were It was the weekend after 4th of July, and we're driving to Colorado, and my wife is on her phone learning French. And it's like, so I listened to somebody learn French for like 8 hours. It's it sounds worse than it was. I was actually learning a little bit of French. Of course, none of it is retained, but she explained the app she was using, and I'm like, well, do they have Japanese on there? And she says, yeah, they do. It's like, all right. So when we got home from our trip to Colorado, I downloaded the app. It's called Duolingo. Duo like in two, and lingo is like in language. And there are many, many, many choices of languages to learn, which is cool. The most cool, it's free.
That is really cool. So are all the languages on there free?
Yeah,
Oh, even
yeah.
better.
They have transactions you could spend money on, and they do have ads that you can watch to keep from having to pay for anything. But if you want it to be totally free, which I have done, it can be totally free. So the way it's structured is it starts off small. Okay, so I'm learning Japanese. So there are these lessons. I'm going to call it the Japanese alphabet for lack of a better term, and it's called hiragana. So there's 4 separate levels of hiragana, and each level has 4 levels to it,
Okay.
or 5 levels to it. So you get so far in hiragana 1, and then it'll unlock hiragana 2, and you could either go to 2 or finish 1, you know, whatever you want to do. And then as you go down, you finally finish with the alphabet, the hiragana stuff, and then it gets you into doing intros. And there's an intro 2, and then there's greetings. And then as you go down, more skills you learn is food, time, home, and intro 3, family, restaurant, activity, position, hobby, transport. So it takes all these different categories of what you would need to say, and it breaks them down for you.
Okay. All right.
So I'm into the first intro. So I've done the 4 hiragana, and now I'm into intro. So I'm still really early into this. But one of the cool things about it is you can do it on the mobile app. There's that. Can you see it?
Yeah, kind of. White
Yeah.
screen. It's a little bright for the camera.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see it now. But anyway, um, there's different, I guess, things it keeps track of, like streaks, how many days in a row you've done this. My
Okay.
current streak is 16. Um, and of course, just like any other app that has you doing something, you can earn trophies,
Good.
for things like, um, they call them achievements. Let's see what my achievements are thus far. Do 20 lessons or practices without getting anything wrong. I've earned that one. Um,
So okay, let's go on that note. Are you are you saying just words? Are you just learning words right now? Or are you learning sentences?
Haji Mamashke John Des
I don't know what that means.
says, "Nice to meet you. I'm John."
Oh, okay.
So most of what I've learned so far is, like I said, the alphabet. It actually shows you a hiragana character and then just tells you what the sound is, and you have to repeat it.
Okay.
And
So then the
then it
microphone
goes so
picks you up on whether or not you're saying it right or wrong, and that's how you can get that
well, so
achievement
far
per
I
se.
haven't had to do anything verbally. It's all been typing it in.
Oh, okay.
So it'll put up, well, let me,
Hi.
did you hear that?
Yeah.
Hi.
So it'll say, okay, it'll give me the letters for it, or the hiragana letters, tell me what it sounds like, and then I type in English the English translation for that. For hi, it was yes,
Okay.
and then I put it in there, and then like this one is,
Shiro.
that's white, shiro,
Okay.
and you do those kinds of things, and then it'll eventually um, get to where you're starting to put sentences together. So, like the first word I learned was white, which is shiro, and then I learned blue, which is ow, and red, which is aka. And then I learned words like uh, um, Ohio, which is good morning, and konnichiwa, and all the other stuff that you just know already without knowing Japanese. But I get to see
Right.
how it's spelled,
Sure.
and
Sure.
then it, like I said, it just throws these things at you so fast. So you not only learn the symbols and what they sound like, then you get to start to see what words look like. So there's a place north of in North Kansas City called Shaka Noodles, and it has movie posters hung up, but they're Japanese and American movies, but their posters are in Japanese.
Okay.
So the last time I was there, I was looking at them like, wow, I know what a lot of these symbols are. I have no idea what it's saying, but I know that symbol sounds like no, and that one sounds like ka, and that one sounds like she, and I could pick that out. I was like, this is pretty cool. I can't wait till I can actually form these words and figure out what this thing is saying.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, and so each day you do 2 lessons, basically minimum, to get credit for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably takes about 10 minutes, and you'll go through the first one, and it'll then go to an ad. You can click on the ad, or you can just escape out of it and get back to your lesson. Do the second one, and then once it's done, it gives you credit for that day. And then you will earn gems for that day. And it'll put up these 3 treasure boxes, and you pick one, and it gives you what the gems are that were in that box. You can also pick another box to get the gems out of, but you have to watch a video.
Mm.
And so far, every freaking video I've watched is one of those bejeweled type of games.
Yes. Yeah, I knew that's what you're gonna say. Those videos are
Yeah.
everywhere.
So I don't have the sound on. I just wait for the X to go from gray to where I can click on it. I click on it. I get more gems. I move on.
Right.
Um, it also has a health counter. So as you're doing your lessons and you miss one, your health drops. If your health goes down to 0, you either have to spend some of your gems to refill it, or you're just done on that lesson. But then you can, if you don't want to spend any gems, you don't have any to spend, there's an area where you can just practice.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't count towards your lessons, but it does count towards your XP for the day. And it
Gotcha.
also fills up your health meter again.
Okay. Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And as you complete lessons, like I've completed all of Hiragana 1, 2, 3, and 4, I can also go back and do refreshers
Gotcha.
and just take some of those lessons all over again. Or I can move on and, I'm on level 4 of the first intro.
Okay.
And so, like, level 1 is only so much XP. Each lesson is 10 XP. And it's only so much XP to bump up to level 2. And then level 2, it's more XP to level up to 3. And 3, it's more XP to level up to 4. And then 4 is a lot of XP to level up to 5. And then you're done with that lesson. Um, which is pretty cool.
So it's an interesting way. So this idea that they have, this gamification of learning a language, is really interesting, and it kind of makes me want to. I feel like I need to try it out. Just if nothing else, I just want to try it. Just to see the gamification. I like that idea, and there's so many different apps out there that have done this gamification to different menial things. You know, a big one right now is the fitness apps that you can get, and they
Yeah, I
gamify
have a Fitbit.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get you extra points and to give you, achievements and different things to like level up and unlock different features, and not even necessarily features, but just simple things that really shouldn't matter, but it's just the fact that you achieved it. This is really interesting way to approach learning a language.
It is, and
Um,
it's fun, and it gets addicting. I'm to the point. Okay, so you earn badges as you get so far, and I was creeping up to the 50 days in a row badge. And then 16 days ago, it was a Sunday, and I completely forgot to do my lesson and killed my streak. I was at
oh,
47, and I completely forgot, and now I'm back to 16. And I was like kicking myself. I was like, dang it, how could I let that happen?
you're right.
But you do, and you get to the point where, we'll like 20 minutes before we started this, I was sitting there, I had my computer on. It's like I got to do my Japanese lesson before I podcast, or I may forget, and so I just did it on my laptop.
Nice.
Laptop app is a little bit different. The gems are called lingots. Doesn't have the health meter, but
Are
it's
they
pretty much the same.
are they connected so that if you
Yeah.
are leveling up in on your laptop, it still works on the app?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So it doesn't matter which one I do. And the whole reason I started doing the laptop, and it may have been something I can't find it in the phone app, if it's something I can turn off or on. But in the intro, all of a sudden it wanted me to type in Japanese.
Mm.
I have an American keyboard. I don't know how to type in Japanese, so I downloaded a Japanese keyboard app, and it didn't have all the symbols.
Oh.
So it's like, well, I can't do this. Um, so it's like, man, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I was really bummed out. And I thought, man, I'm really going to be pissed if I can't continue. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll look on the laptop. Maybe I could, do a copy and paste from a Japanese um, keyboard or something to keep it going. But the laptop app has not asked me to type in Japanese. So I'm thinking something I clicked on in the phone app or something has caused it
Just
to ask me this.
right.
So there's certain lessons I can't do on my phone.
Gotcha.
That just may be because of me and not the actual app. And since I'm old, doing it on the laptop, everything's easier to see, and it's easier to type on the keyboard than it is
Sure.
on your phone keyboard. So I actually like the laptop one better.
I fat finger English words on my phone. I can only imagine me fat fingering another language on my phone. I wouldn't even
Yeah,
be able to
there's
know if, yeah, that would just be bad.
yeah. Well, here's a good example. One of the phrases I have to show that I know is I am American. And twice in a row I typed I am America and hit continue, and it's like, nope, wrong. It's like, come on, give me the benefit of the doubt. But it
Well, and
didn't. So apparently I am not America.
and that was something else. Like that was going to be my next question for you was so you're learning these words and you're kind of putting them in sentences. Are you, I think back to, I mean, I haven't taken a foreign language since high school, which that was forever and a day ago. But there's, forming a sentence in a different language is a different, there's a different syntax and, um, that needs to be used. So like, and I learned German at the time, but even with Spanish, it's like you're not saying, you know, if you're talking about the White House, it's not you don't say it, White House. You say the house that is white.
Yeah.
And so, are you learning like is that a future lesson, or are you learning that as you're going as well?
you're learning it as you're going. It's not really, saying here's how you conjugate a verb or something like that. It's just giving you, this is the gibberish. This is what it means in English. And then
Remember it.
later on, it's going to give it either to you in English or Japanese, and you have to. So, like, if it gives it to you in English, it will have, at least on the laptop app, it'll have pieces of the phrase, and you have to put them in order.
Oh,
And they'll have stuff that's in there that isn't supposed to go into it. So you have to know what to pick and what order to put it in.
interesting.
And then sometimes it'll put the Japanese up, and then you have to put what it's saying. And, you know, it, sometimes things are so similar, you'll get it right on one, and you're like, oh, it's the same thing. And you'll put the same thing in again. It's like, nope, wrong. And it's like, what the freaking difference was? And then, like, I am American is just America Jindis. But I am from America is a hell of a lot longer.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it's like, okay, is it this? And then you click on it, and it'll say wrong, and then it'll show you where you missed. And it's like, oh, Jesus. So
Yeah.
if you're a person that's only going to do the bare minimum, the 10 minutes a day, I feel like you're not going to really learn the language, because you can get through all the lessons and graduate all the levels. But if you're only spending 10 minutes a day, it's not going to stick.
Gotcha.
So I do the 10 minutes pretty much Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I really do a long lessons.
Okay.
There'll be times that, I'll spend like an hour or something,
Oh, wow.
sitting in bed on a Sunday morning just doing these things, trying to get it to sink in. So
Yeah.
it's complicated. It's a complicated language to begin with.
Sure.
And then, it's not conversational. They're not, it's not saying, this is how you say, where's the nearest bathroom or something. It's teaching the alphabet, teaching you different words, and then starting to teach you like introductions. And another hard part about Japanese is there's the hiragana, and then there's, I don't even know what it's called, but then you get into the more complex symbols, and they may be the same sound.
Oh.
Like the sound ah, I know two symbols for that. Yo, I know two symbols for that. It's like, so is this like poor man's Japanese, and then you graduate to this bigger symbol? Yeah, I'm not sure, because it doesn't tell you anything. It just teaches you,
What it is.
the
Okay.
writing, and you figure it out.
Well, I mean,
So
there was a there was a video on Facebook that came through, and I think it was just one of those like sponsored ads, but it was for like a linguist type thing, and it was like, this is what if we took and broke down English into like every other language where it only has, like the letter A only sounds like this and not the 400 different ways that it can in
yeah,
English. Like, oh geez, I can only imagine. So I'm sure that's kind of the similar type
yeah,
setup.
and it
So
is. And then there's certain symbols that make a certain sound, and then they make a completely different sound if it's smaller and in front of another symbol.
mm, yeah, that
So
sounds that sounds a little complicated,
yeah,
but as I would expect. I mean, it sounds as complicated as somebody trying to learn English too. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it does a good job of getting you through that, but every time you move to another level and you're learning something new, it does get a little frustrating at first. Especially it'll
sure.
throw something out that it hasn't shown you before and says, "Okay, here's the symbol. What is it?" And you're like, "I don't know. I've never seen it before in my life." You just guess.
Yeah,
And then it's like, "Nope, it's this one." Okay. And then later on it'll show it to you again. You're like, "Oh yeah, it was that." You
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Or you go, "Oh man, it showed me that I can't remember what it was," which happens to me a lot. But
Well, that's
yeah,
interesting. So and I was really kind of excited to hear about this app and how it all worked because um, so I know some German, very very little. I can count to 9 in German, and I used to know a few sentences, but nothing useful. But the kids wanted to, I don't remember, they were counting in Spanish or something, and so I just started counting back to them in German. And they got this urge to like want to learn German now. So much so that for the fourth grade musical, my oldest son, Reese, is like specifically asked the music teacher if he can do the part that's in German. And I'm like, but you don't know German. He's like, I don't know. We're going to learn it while we're doing it. I'm like, okay, go for it,
There
buddy.
you
So it's
go.
like
That's cool that
now I
he
kind of feel
wants to.
like I should learn some German, and then maybe him and I can have like, so he can start learning some of the German as well and learning a little bit more to it. Kids are gonna pick it up way faster than adults are anyway, and so I just think it
Yeah.
would be kind of, if he has an urge to learn another language, this might be a program that even he could use to, learn some stuff. Give it
Well,
his.
if you're like an Uber geek as well,
Mm-hmm.
they have they also have Klingon on there
Ooh.
and High Valerian. So,
That is
you have
awesome.
choices.
That is awesome. No Elvish though, huh?
Didn't see Elvish. So,
Because that's one that I would love to. Because I know, uh, um, Tolkien actually like created the whole Elvish language for Lord of the Rings. I think it would be really kind of cool to learn his Elvish.
yeah, there's Klingon. Yeah, Klingon and High Valerian was the only ones I saw. You can learn Swahili
Ooh,
if
that
you
could be
wanted
fun.
to. High Valerian.
That's
Then
kind of,
there's, I mean,
and it's
yeah,
it's
there's tons of stuff.
it's incredible that there's that many, that you have that many languages and that they're all free. I kind of
Yeah,
expected it to give you like, oh, hey, the app's free, and you can get like one language for free, but if you want any of these others, you're gonna have to pay for them. Or, you get the app for free, but if you want to learn a language, you gotta buy the language pack that is 99
yeah,
cents. You know.
I don't know. Maybe when I get done with all the ones that are in here, it'll
You
may
get
say, well, if you want more, but I have a feeling by the time I get to the bottom of this list, I should know Japanese fairly well.
or at least, well enough to, not kill someone
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
get
There's
yourself
even
killed.
subculture and Olympics as two
Oh,
of the categories.
interesting.
So I can't wait to see what subculture is. That could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So I take it you
Yeah.
give this thing 2 thumbs up then, huh?
I give Duolingo two thumbs up.
I'll have to check this out.
It's the gamification of learning a language is pretty cool. On top of learning a language is really cool.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of like that it's on the phone, so like I might put it on my phone and then maybe I can do that, while the kids are at soccer practice or something. They're at soccer practice for an hour. I'm usually just sitting there playing a game on my phone. Maybe I'll learn a language while I'm doing that.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Uh, like I said, I haven't had to speak Japanese into my phone,
Mm-hmm.
but my wife has been learning French, and there's times she actually has to speak the word into the phone, and then it figures out if she got it right or not.
Well, that's
So
that's kind
I
of what
don't know what languages that is, and maybe one day in the Japanese thing I'll actually have to do that, but so far I haven't had to.
right. It might be a little farther along than you are, but
Yeah,
really
she's a lot
cool.
further along than I am, I think.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
What?
so I just wanted to give you that warning in case you're at a soccer game and all of a sudden you're saying German words or something into your phone. People are not going to think you're a terrorist or something. I don't know.
Well, I honestly. Well, here's the funny thing. So at the soccer fields, whenever I'm at the soccer fields for practice, um, you run across people that are speaking all kinds of different languages. They'll be on the phone or they'll be talking to two people that already. You'll get a lot of Spanish speakers that are there, but you'll get a few that are, you look at it and they're saying something and you're like, I have no idea what language they are saying, but it sounds really cool. Like, there is all ethnic backgrounds in this soccer club, so I'm sure me dropping a few like German words isn't really gonna throw anyone off. Other than they'll just look at me and go, "What the heck is that? That's a lot of spitting into the phone." Because German's a harsh language, man. It's lots of hard R's and Haken loogies.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, there you go, everybody. There's your educational fix for the week. Come back next week when we do something completely different and, get back to the regular craziness. Non
Maybe.
educational. I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with something else. I don't know what we're doing next week. I have
Maybe we'll
not.
just do an entire episode where we speak Japanese. Who knows?
Well, you'll speak Japanese, and the rest of us will all sit here going, "What'd he say? What was that? He said Ohio. What are we talking about Ohio for? There's nothing in Ohio." All right. So, on that note, how about you check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekvice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel on the Facebook page. Just go over to the left, look for the YouTube button. It'll take you right there. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Geekvice, and you can follow that man at Kip Killigan. And of course, as always, you can reach us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. Email us and let us know if you've learned a second language, or you can even email us in Japanese, and Kip could read it. Maybe.
Poorly.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be much better. So that could be kind of fun if we get an email from somebody in Japanese. So give it a try there, guys. Extra shout outs and extra points from us here at Geekvice.
That's right.
All right, everybody. You got anything else you want to throw out there, Kip, before we close this door?
No, I think I am done speaking for the day.
There you go, everyone. That's it. Thanks for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next week.
Later, or the Japanese version of that word.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.